Good morning, people. I hope all of us are doing good. Today, I intend to go further into the Ashtavakra Gita. It's been a long time since I've done it, and today I want to start again. Before starting, I want to say I feel too small to talk about the Ashtavakra Gita. I am by no means Ashtavakra or Janaka. I'm somebody who's trying to understand or who is on the path to realize the same things that these two individuals have realized. Well, to call them individuals is also going to be wrong because their individuality has totally vanished. And this is the aim that I have in my life because I've seen the weight of individuality. I have seen the illusory nature of individuality, but because there is this tremendous intensity to always identify with the various impulses of the mind, we keep getting dragged into whatever the mind tells us. But by repeatedly hearing the words of Ashtavakra, by repeatedly going through the scriptures, by repeatedly trying to think of the Lord, uh, there is a change, there is a mutation in the mind. The chemistry begins to change. There is this concept of neuroplasticity, which says that the neurons have an inherent capacity to change, to rewire themselves. So once we attune ourselves to the reality of Ashtavakra, to the reality of Yoga Vashishta, to the reality of Sri Rama, Hanumana, UG Krishnamurti, J Krishnamurti, Ramana Maharishi, when all of these things we attune to, there is a mutation. Once we start doing that, we cannot go back peacefully to the old ways of living because the old ways of living is going to haunt us. As soon as we pick up a habit that we are doing from a long time, a habit that is sustained by the insatiable desires, a habit that is sustained by lust, anger, greed, or whatever it is, now you cannot be the same again. As soon as that habit is grabbing you by your neck and taking you towards where it wants to take you, there is going to be the voice of the Guru that is going to say to you that for many lifetimes you have done this, for many years this process has gone on, and you have seen very clearly what this process has created. This process has created misery in your life. It has created a sense of insatiability. You have seen very clearly that no matter how much you do, there is this constant strife that always accompanies you when you live according to the various impulses of the mind. Then the Guru tells us that these impulses happen in a field. This field is consciousness. This field is the source of creation, not just your creation, the creation of the whole existence. So you are the creation itself. Uh, there is something inside you from which everything springs from. And if you get established in that something, then all the miseries, all the doubts, all the monologue is just going to vanish. It's going to vanish like anything vanishes. So that is why this song is sung by Ashtavakra, because he cannot hold it inside himself. It is so strong. And I am reading it for the reason I told you. There's one reason which is for the sheer thankfulness to the Guru, and then the other thing is for my own self purification. The more I read it, the more purified I become. And in this process of purification, if somebody can hear me read Ashtavakra Gita, no matter how flawed I do it, if even one person becomes interested in the subject, then I'd be very happy, because the transformation that this attunement or this identification with Ashtavakra is going to bring is going to be really, really spectacular, to say the least. So let's begin. The last time I talked about till Sutra number 11. Now the 12th Sutra is that the self is witness, all pervading, perfect, one, free, consciousness, actionless, unattached, desireless and quiet. Through illusion, it appears as if it is of the world. In this sutra, Ashtavakra is telling a few qualities of the self. Now, we must have heard, all of us who have been in this spiritual life must have heard that what we are cannot be described by any characteristics, by any feature. But here Ashtavakra is giving a few characteristics of the self. He's doing it so that the mind can see the mind can see it. The mind can think about it. Okay, what might happen once we get established in the self? Before starting any activity, a certain amount of excitation is needed, a certain amount of motivation is needed. And the mind, which is so much consumed by the various things that the world offers us, has to be given certain adjectives so that it begins to think about the subject. So that is why Ashtavakra is saying that the self is witness, the self is just a watcher, the self is not the doer. Now you think that you have done a lot of actions, you think that you've done a lot of sin, you think that you've done a lot of good things in the world, but here Ashtavakra is saying that these things are not done by you. You are just the witness. You're just seeing all the things that are happening. There is an impulse coming, then there is another impulse coming, which is thinking about the impulse that has just come. Now these two impulses are fighting against each other. Then there is another impulse that is looking at the fight. So all of these things are happening in the mind, but there is an entity that has the capacity to look at all that is going on. And it is free of all the play of the impulses. The Kauravas are fighting the Pandavas, but the ground, Kurukshetra, on which the battle is happening, is free, is not fighting. It's just seeing the fight going on. The self is witness, all pervading. The self pervades all. It means that everything, each impulse that is happening inside is resulting from the self, is being born from the self. And because we are not looking at the source from which everything is springing from, we are perpetually in this confusion. According to Ashtavakra, if you go back to the source from which all these impulses are coming from, these impulses lose their vitality. These impulses lose their vibration. They cannot vibrate the same way they used to. Let's say an impulse of anger is coming up, and despite showing the anger and breaking the glass or breaking somebody's head, you begin to see from where the impulse is coming from. Then the energy and the time you're going to invest to see the source from which it is springing is going to dissolve the anger. So the 20 seconds that you spent in throwing the glass and doing whatever you do out of anger is going to be spent to see that it's coming from a source of silence. The source is always silent, and from that source many things are coming up like bubbles come up in water. Then he's giving many other qualities of the self. He's saying it is perfect. You think perpetually that you have to improve yourself, that you're not perfect. But here Ashtavakra is saying the self is perfect. There is no problem in that. When does a thing become perfect? When we do not want to improve it, when we do not want to disimprove it, when there is total contentment with that thing, we can call it perfection. So once we get established in the self, the mind cannot desire, because it is so beautiful to be established in the source that it creates a certain beauty in one's life. It creates a certain kind of contentment and happiness in one's life. One becomes totally happy with whatever it is. Even if the society is going in a direction where there is such evil, so many problems, the person knows that everything is an appearance in the self, and he does his bit. If a situation is happening in front of him, he tries to contribute to the situation, and even whilst contributing to the situation, he's free, because he knows that there is no real problem there. The self is free. It is free. You feel that you're in bondage because you're doing a job or because you're living in a family, but all of these concepts or bondages are essentially there because we identify ourselves with the mind. It is the mind that tells us that if we live in the home, we feel bounded, and we want to go out and play in Rishikesh and go to various great places. But this identification with the mind is the real bondage. But the source from which the mind is springing from is always free. It is actionless. Your body does action, your mind makes the body do action. Your mind is a home of these billions of impulses, and these billions of impulses have grabbed you by the throat, have held you here, and they make you do all they want you to do. But the self is actionless, the source is actionless. The source is never doing any action. Shakti is acting in the world, but Shiva is quiet. You can understand it like that. It is desireless. If you see yourself, you will see very clearly that you're so much identified with the mind. Even right now, if you're hearing, there is this tremendous identification with the mind. Because you're hearing this, the mind is chattering, and you're not really listening to me, you're only listening to the translation that is going on inside you after listening to me. But all of it is happening because the mind is so full of desire. It wants to catch, it wants to move, it wants to reach, it wants to grab. but the self is desireless. Just think about this proposition, just think about this reality that the mind is desireless. The source is desireless. Who you truly are, there is no desire there. Imagine a day without any desire. As soon as you wake up, desire catches hold of you and it makes you run around like a child from this branch to another, like a monkey, and the process goes on. Imagine that process ends for one day. Even if that process ends for 1 second, you feel so happy. For example, you're chasing a mobile phone, you want a new iPhone, and you're thinking all the time about it. As soon as you get the iPhone, suddenly you feel a great joy. You feel a great joy because there is no desire for the iPhone anymore, because you have the iPhone in your pocket. So it is the absence of desire that makes you feel happy. Now imagine a realm where there are no desires altogether. You just function naturally. Whatever is coming up, if you feel like playing a part in it, you're playing a part in it. But even if you play a part in it, if you don't play a part in it, you are always free, because now you have established yourself in this non-physical reality. The body and the mind is going to be sustained by the forces with which it was created, with the 5 elements: fire, agni, water, earth, and the rest of it. But you're always going to be free. You're going to let the body do what it likes. You're going to rest. As Lao Tzu said in one of his words, that I sit still and the right action takes by itself. A right action comes by itself. So in that stillness, it is not inactivity. The mind and body cannot be without activity. As Krishna said in his Bhagavad Gita, that as long as one is alive, as long as one is embodied, he cannot be free of karma. He cannot be free of action. Action is always going to go on. But the person is going to know very clearly that the action is going on because of a certain process, which is of the body and the mind. But the one from which everything is springing from is actionless, is desireless. So this was the 12th sutra. It was amazing to discuss it. Now I'll discuss one more sutra. Having given up, this is the 13th one, having given up external and internal self-modification and the illusion I am the reflected self, meditate on the Atman as immutable, consciousness and non-dual. Here Ashtavakra is pointing out to two things that are going on inside us at all times, which are external and internal self-modification. We are not happy. We are never contented with who we are. We are not contented because the mind cannot exist in contentment. The mind can never be contented, because the whole operation of the mind is sustained by insatiability. It is sustained by restlessness. It is sustained by this perpetual demand to change. If you look this way, there is a better way to look. There is every moment of our lives we are grappled by being better and better and better and better. This external self-modification, in which we modify ourselves to look perfect in front of the society, and we know how we do it. As soon as you wake up, everything that we do, just look at all your activities and you will see that it is there to appear perfect or good in front of the world, so that the world accepts us. And then there is the internal self-modification. Now, after being frustrated by all these external self-modification, one becomes spiritual and one begins to modify himself inwardly. Ashtavakra is even destroying that. Ashtavakra is also criticizing the yogis who are trying to internally modify themselves, because Ashtavakra's message is simple, that all this modification, no matter how holy the modification is, or how profane or how disgusting the modification is, all the modifications pertain to the mind. And the only thing that an individual needs to understand is that the mind is not us, that we should not be trapped by the various impulses of the mind, and see that these impulses are never ending, and just focus our attention to see the self. And as he says, having given up external and internal self-modification and the illusion I am the reflected self, the illusion I am the reflected self means that I am the mind. Meditate on the Atman as immutable. After giving up, he says, after giving up external, give up external and internal self-modification totally, according to Ashtavakra. Although it's a very difficult thing to do, almost impossible, because the vibration and intensity behind the mind is such that you cannot do it simply by listening to it. But if that is done, if the mind is wanting you to, do all these modifications. At that time, think about the Atman, which is ever free, which is always desireless, which does not want to be modified because it is perfect, because there is such tranquility, contentment, and quiet and silence in it. And this is not just words, this is not just a fancy reality created by clever words. No, it is not that. You can try it out for yourself. Listening to these words, try to go back and see that all of these things that are going on inside your mind is happening in a ground of consciousness, that you're able to see all of it. And the one that sees all of it is free from it. You're seeing the various movements of the mind, right? And the various movements of the mind is also seen by the mind, but there is something that has the capacity to see everything that is going on. And if you try to establish yourself in that space, you'll suddenly feel very light, you'll suddenly feel very quiet. Say to yourself that for the next 20-30 minutes, I am not going to be identified with anything the mind does. So in those 20-30 minutes, the mind is going to vibrate a lot. It is going to make you want to reach your phone or read a book or things like that. But don't do that. See that all of these impulses are arising in consciousness, and you are the consciousness. You're free from these impulses. Let these impulses come and go. Let these impulses do whatever they like. You don't give much attention to it, and rather you give your attention to the one that is attending. And once you do that, once you become the watcher, once you become the witness of all the phenomena, suddenly you'll feel a sense of beauty in your life. The more you do it, the more beautiful you're going to become. And this is the only real beauty, because apart from that, everything is fabricated, everything is created, everything is manufactured to capture other people's attention. A girl or a boy dressed up beautifully, who are they dressing up for? If you look at them very deeply, everything is there to capture the attention of another. And this process only stops in a person who has realized himself. He does not want to do anything for anybody or even for himself. He's just quiet, relaxed, like a dog, like a cow, like a tree. And when man reaches that similar state, then it is more glorious than the state of a dog or a cow or a tree. Because a dog or a cow or a tree is not endowed with thinking, is not endowed, is not does not have this dualistic process that is stifling him all the time. In man, that is the process, that is the process with which he lives, this dualistic process. And despite that, this dualistic process, if one can realize the eternal state or the state of silence, then that is the greatest miracle that is there on the world. And it is the greatest miracle because only a few people have been able to do it. And as soon as somebody touches it, as soon as somebody realizes it, oh, he becomes a masterpiece. When the Buddha walked in the village, the whole village came and saw the Buddha. He was so beautiful. When Rama walked, when Rama did anything, everybody was in awe and wanted to see everything that was happening in his life with such curiosity. Everybody wanted to stay with him. Nobody wanted to leave him for a second. What had happened in them? They had lost all sense of individuality. They had lost all the sense of I, and they were merged totally. And that is why we worship them. But Ashtavakra's words would not allow us to even worship anybody. Ashtavakra's words are so intense that as long till the time we don't become like the person we are worshipping, he is not gonna allow us to rest. He says that the true divinity is lying inside, and all the outer divinities that you worship are just an inspiration for you to seek your own divinity. And as soon as you seek your own divinity, you will realize that this is the only life worth living. Now, I have not realized it, but there are moments where I've seen the beauty of it. That is why this process is going on of self-purification, of talking about the Ashtavakra Gita. So yeah, thank you for listening. Take care.